we are going to start talking about chicken. So, I want to talk about some different forms, and then we're going to move into our perfectly southern. Who knows what perfectly southern is before we even start? When I say that, show of hands. 1, 2, couple people. Who feels comfortable enough to promote it? 1. Okay. We'll see. There'll be a quiz. So, what I want to do first is I'm going to break down a whole chicken because I think you need to understand kind of how this works. Then we've got some parts here, and then we've got some other parts that I've been marinating. Like I said, a whole chicken is one of my favorite items because we can do so much to it. I don't know if anybody is familiar with a man named Martin Yan, famous Chinese chef. He used to be on TV, on all the talk shows. I mean, he was very popular. He could break one of these down in 13 seconds. And he would take about 5 of that by making it dance. He was pretty funny. Very famous. Martin Yan. So, remember we talked about our grades of chicken, A, B, and C? You notice how that skin is nice and smooth? We don't see any rips or tears. Okay? Also, notice that yellow coloring on the flesh? Once again, someone said, you know what, I think chicken's going to be a lot better if we put some yellow in that corn and that feed, okay? So, I love the whole roast chicken. I got a little feather on there. Not that long ago, against my better judgment, we did some chicken that we had to trim up, and one of our area managers was here, and we opened the box and it looked like a pillow factory. There were so many feathers on that chicken, we had a pile that would almost fill this pan of feathers we had to pull off of it. It was a lesser brand, lower cost, all right? But this is our whole chicken. So typically, how many pieces would we cut this into if we're doing like a fried chicken place?
8 pieces.
8 pieces, okay. So, when I start with the chicken, I start with the leg quarters. Now, some of this is people hate, but you basically kind of pop that bone, okay? And then when you pop that bone, simple as that, okay? If you're ever doing this or you see a customer and they're working on it, hold on, let me show you something here. You should never cut through bone when you're doing this. It's like a meat puzzle, all right? It all goes together. There's joints, there's sockets. You just got to find those. So you just make a nice little cut there so you can go down. You pop that leg bone. You see how that bone pops out there? And then we just kind of go right into there. Leg quarters, right? Okay. White or dark meat? Dark meat. So it's going to have more fat, going to have more flavor. It's going to take a little bit longer to cook, but that's okay. It's going to be juicier and more flavorful.
Now, the term greasy on dark meat.
I think it's because people say it's got more fat. But you know, let's face it, chicken without fat, that dry chicken breast that everybody complains about. So, now we're left with a leg quarter, which, once again, I love. But usually you find that little white strip right there. You go in between that white strip, and now we got a thigh and we got a leg. Now, thighs are great, and we like things that are bone in, okay, because that bone gives it extra flavor, helps make it moist. But for a lot of people, if we're going to do sandwiches, now we do a boneless thigh, okay? Now, do I expect people to do that even though it takes 30 seconds? No. Sell that boneless thigh, especially from a price difference. It is a great product. I think this makes the best sandwich, all right? We can also go trim off a little of that. We can cut that into strips. I can put this between wax paper or parchment paper or plastic wrap, pound it, make it nice and thin, give it a nice breading. It makes a great sandwich, okay? And if you've been in a test kitchen with me, I tell people you need to have a hook. And I don't necessarily tell people to buy everything breaded. I think if I was going to do something like this, I think it would be a real draw. Number one sandwich in the country right now is a fried chicken sandwich. They're everywhere. KFC, Popeyes. Let me show you how to do that. And you're going to see that a little bit more here in a bit, okay?
So they're using a fat?
Yeah, a lot of those are using thighs. Now, we can also bone out this leg. It takes a lot more work, but one thing people do with the legs is you can cut through those tendons and push that meat down. We recently had a customer that wanted to do this, and we make a lollipop out of that. We can bread that and fry it, or we can roast it like that and serve that at parties. It's a neat way to do it. I mean, basically, I trim off a little bit of that skin there, and then I clean that top up a little bit. But yep, chicken lollipop. You can all take that home today.
What's the best way to cook?
For something like that, you're either going to see it deep fried, or you're going to see it baked off. You might bake it off, hit it with some sauce, barbecue or something, and serve it that way.
Little grill thing, let them hang slow
Yeah,
smoke.
something like that. I mean, they look kind of cool on a platter, But
That's
once
cool.
again, if I'm doing a party for 200 people, I do not want to do that
No.
at all. All right, so let's go back to our bird here. He's got a little bit of skin on there. Take that off. Do I want to throw that away? I might use that for some Crispies. Okay. I might use that if you remember when we talked about beef. If I'm going to brown this chicken, do I want to brown this chicken in vegetable oil, or do I want to brown this chicken in chicken fat? Which do you think is going to have more flavor? Chicken fat. Okay. All right. So let's take those legs off or those wings once again. I make a little cut to get in there. Pop that bone.
Love the sound.
Okay. So now, like I said, we have sold and used to sell the whole wing, just like that.
Is that what they do at Peanuts up in Kansas City? They're popular for.
I don't know. I haven't been up there, but
That's what there is on that.
Yep.
okay. Now I like that wing. Not everybody does. I just think it looks impressive when it comes out on the plate.
I know of two places in town that do that. One of them is Lambert's, the other one is Galloway Grill down on Long Time.
Okay.
Wings and waffles.
So that's our drumette or drummy, which most people like because it's got the most meat. There's that piece. We got our tip. Just fight me looking for my spot. So now, what do they say when they say first and second joints? You see
One
that a
joint
lot?
drummy, 2 joint wing.
Yep. So, once again, I don't suggest anybody hire somebody for $10 an hour to do this, But I like the look of that, but that is what we're usually used to. Can we serve that? Sure, but let's face it, how much meat is on there, all right, on that part there. So, now we're getting to the good part. Remember we talked about the Japanese part, the butt end? That's that right there, all right, which is edible. Now we're left with the breast. And running through here, there is what we call the keel, which is a cartilage-based formation. So we can never cut directly through because there is already something right in the middle. So we're always going to go a little bit to one side, okay? And then when you find that side, it is right there. When you're ever doing this, A, try to keep your fingers out of the way. B, you want to be as close to the bone as possible because we don't want to waste food. So I've done this a few times. Very little chicken left on that carcass. Now, Remember our tender that we talked about? See that little thing hanging right there, that little strip?
There it is.
Now, sometimes you'll see tenders that have been clipped or not clipped. See that little bit of connective tissue, that tendon right there? If it's been clipped, that's been cut off. Okay? The ones you're going to sample today were not clipped because I didn't have time. But that's okay. But that is the tender. So now we're left with basically just the breast. Now, what's popular these days, and years ago, nobody sold the boneless, skinless random breast. Why? I think they just really wanted to make more money from their customers. I remember introducing this to people even 10 years ago. Oh, you're doing chicken salad? Why are you buying a boneless, skinless 6-ounce chicken breast to cook up for a chicken salad? It made no sense to me. Or you're doing chicken and dumplings? Why are you buying that expensive boneless, skinless chicken breast to do chicken and dumplings? Random breast became much more popular. So this is what, from the store, this is what we just cut off. Now the problem with these sometimes, you still got to trim them. I'm going to trim off everything that's not edible. A little bit of that heel right there. So, what am I going to do with this? It's way too big to serve on a plate, right? I can't serve that as just an entree. Too big a piece of chicken. And technically, notice the size of that is much bigger. I can tell you just from the look, that's going to be a tougher animal, a tougher piece of chicken to eat, okay? So I want to be real careful about my applications for it. So typically when I buy these, what I would do is I would take this off. That's going to my chicken salad, my chicken stew, my chicken and dumplings, whatever. Then I've got this left over. Now I may go ahead and cut it here and then butterfly it. We all know what we're talking about with butterflied, right? We're going to cut this open and open it up. But also at this point, I may just start to go down and cut my own chicken strips. People still want to do their own chicken strips, which I think is crazy because of the labor involved in it. But you buy the random, you do that. Now, I still do that, butterfly it open, put that, pound that out. That'll still make a pretty decent sandwich, more than a decent sandwich. But once again, I want to make sure I'm doing something with that part. So if somebody wants to use this whole random breast, you just make sure they're using all of it, right?
So Chef, this here, so when you look in your descriptions, that there is in a single lobe steak.
Yes.
So that's not, I mean, he's took the tenderloin off, but that would be single lobe, right?
Yes, whole muscle.
Single lobe.
Yeah.
And the 6-ounce portion, 8-ounce portion, 5-ounce portion is all from the size of the bird and
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, now sometimes you'll see a double lobe every once in a while where they'll do like 2 4-ounces, and that cartilage in between those two, they'll leave that attached. So you basically have 2 4-ounce pieces still attached to each other. I hate that cut of chicken. It cooks wrong, it looks wrong, but it's a fairly affordable one. And usually that's when they're like 2 3-ounce, 2 4-ounce, something like that. Let's go back to our bird here for a minute. And I'm going to just take off that part real quick. Obviously, it's much easier when you got the other side to hold it down. Okay. Tender. Clip into the juice. All right, so now we're left with the carcass. Is there an application for this?
stews, soups.
Stews. Here's the thing, when I do chicken at home, and I bone chicken at home, there's still a lot of meat on here, okay? If you've got a customer that's buying whole chicken and you see them throwing away, saying, "Oh, you ever think about making your own chicken stock? Put this in the oven, roast it until it's nice and brown, and put water on it. You know, some tomatoes, celery, and carrots and onions." So, once again, when you hear the word keel, that's this here, and then come on, you. Say, how many times have I cut myself doing this? Who wants to do the wishbone? Okay, everyone's favorite. I'll save that for, maybe you can take that wishbone. We got a good week. All right, I'm gonna turn this over real quick, and I'm gonna, just because you got to know, take that skin off.
Hey, while you're working on that back chef, if you ever get a customer that's a buffet customer and they want a 9-piece cut, so two breasts, 2 drums, 2 thighs, 2 wings, and the chef here is going to show you where that 9th cut comes from.
Gotta love the sound. Yeah. All right, so we've taken the keel off in the back, or the keel in the breast, and basically this is what we're getting down to with having the back. And here's the fun part. Everybody will know, and there's your neck. Everybody will know where the oyster is. A little pocket of meat right there. Just brutalizing. Those are the oysters, okay? The most flavorful, tenderful part on the bird are sunken down in those little pieces. But if you look at this, there's still plenty of meat on that, all right? So what you'll see, a lot of restaurants do, Dan, would you pull me out a cheap knife, please, out of one of those? Because I'm not going to use my good knife to fix it over. Yep, that'll work. So what a lot of restaurants will do is they'll just take that.
I have a question real quick. Is the oyster on a pan and a oyster?
Yeah, it's just a piece. So we'll have people that take that, because there's still a good amount of meat on that, and throw that into the mix. This, soups, stocks, there's a whole lot of flavor on there, all right? So once again, it's not about selling the cheapest piece of chicken. It's saying, I can help you make money on that whole bird. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to cut our pieces, the regular pieces everybody knows, but then we're going to make the best chicken soup in this county that you're going to be known for. And we're going to start with all these parts here. The smart restaurateur is the one that uses a little bit of everything, all right? From all the product they can. Does that make a little bit more sense now that you've seen this broken down?
That'll be the 9-piece cut right there.
Well, sometimes they'll use that, like this piece here, as a 9th cut.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll budget off the breasts, bone in, but usually it's this piece right there.
Yeah, and I didn't do that one. I should have done that. I need some tape right now. It's perfect. Okay, so we haven't taken either breast off. What I was talking about is some of the fast food places, or the fast food chicken, they are now taking that breast and they're cutting it this way. But some of those, there's a couple restaurant big things that do just fried chicken down in Arkansas, down by the river. And what they're doing is they're cutting that chicken across this way. So now I'm getting, and I don't want to cut through that, but you can imagine that bone attached to that piece of chicken. So I'm taking that big breast, that's a big breast. I'm not going to serve that as fried chicken, but if I cut it like this, straight through the bone, now I do get 2 usable pieces rather than one giant chicken breast, which part of that doesn't make sense. Understand? And that's, I have a real problem with that, because if I'm paying for a 10-piece something, I don't want that breast cut in half. I think that's going to cheat me out of a piece of chicken. Yes, it's still 10 pieces, but I'm not getting that nice big piece. I'm getting a smaller version of it. And so, I understand chicken being expensive as it is. So, that's how we cut up a chicken. Let's move on to the pans we have next to us. And let's talk about our perfectly southern chicken. Who wants to explain to me our perfectly southern chicken program?
Mason does.
Go ahead, Mason. Explain our perfectly southern chicken. Can you bring me back another cutting board?
We've got a regular breading, we've got a spicy breading. You can mess it up easily if you don't follow the instructions on the box.
I'm thinking about an area manager who I showed this product to, who came in and said, "Oh, they hated it. They hated it." I said, "They did?" And
I've heard about it ever since.
I said, "How did they hate it? This is the best stuff we sell." Well, and I said, "What, did they follow the directions?" He goes, "What directions?" And then I knew here's where the problem lied.
Somebody over here with a guilty smile. Are we naming names?
We're not naming names. He may be in the room. And it's like, because I always said I fry the worst chicken in the world. I'm really bad at it. My mom made great fried chicken, and I think that's why. But this is a foolproof chicken. And we've all seen Chester's chicken. We've all seen all those other chicken things. Usually those places that have Chester's chicken are paying anywhere between 4 to 7% royalties. Okay, that's a lot of money. Plus, they're typically overpaying by several percent. So now, if you know what the margins are in a normal restaurant, if I'm giving away 10%, where's my profit? So they're not making the money. It's more of a loss leader than anything. So now I can go, Mr. Convenience Store owner, what if I showed you the best fried chicken program in the country, and there are no royalty fees, there are no startup fees. All you've got to do is buy the product from us. There's branding available you can buy. There's a lot of different things that we can offer, but basically, it's free, all right, once you buy the product.
Is this what we're supposed to be doing in Garden Inn?
Yes, it is, which reminds me to talk to you about.
Yeah.
So, now we have two different versions here, plus I have a third. I have our spicy, and I have our regular. Now, Dan, if you would be so kind as to pour some of each of that onto one of those trays.
Yes.
So spicy on one sheet tray, regular on another. Here is a secret to our chicken program. You will see this kind of soup in here, okay? You basically take the breading mix and you mix it with water. And you put the chicken in there. It will last up to 4 days in this mixture, okay? What this is doing is tenderizing the chicken, flavoring the chicken, and I only put this in this morning, so it has not had a great deal of time
Call
to
that
marinate.
brining?
What?
Brining?
Brining is typically salt and sugar, so that's kind of more marinating. But this is gonna, like I said, it's gonna flavor, it's gonna season, it's gonna tenderize.
How long do you suggest it's second time? Yeah.
Well, like I said, I've done it up to 4 days.
If it like
24 hours
Okay.
works great.
Okay.
Now this has only been in here, like I said, about 4 hours, if that.
They did it the night before they left. They do it here.
They do it the night before. But
Fill them
oh,
over, put in the refrigerator.
oh yeah, definitely refrigerator. It's like, oh, I didn't use all of it today. Well, that's okay. Now this is. Let me think about it. I always make sure whether I've cut it or somebody else has cut it. I just double check for cartilage or bone or things like that. Now, once we let this marinate, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put it into fresh. Now I'm doing the thighs here. And typically when I do thighs, if I try to keep them in the deep fryer until that middle is 165, they can get kind of dark, okay? So typically when I'm doing a thigh or a breast, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get this nice GB&D, golden brown delicious, but then I'm going to throw it in the oven to finish it, all right? Because I don't want it to be overdone. Now tenders that we're going to do are going to be fine. So, hand these in. I want spicy. So we're going to take our spicy breading. Now that we have checked all those thighs for parts, and the other thing that people do is they immediately now take this and throw this in the deep fryer. Immediately. Well, what happens is that breading will tend to come off and start floating, and then that messes up our deep fryer. So once we get these things coated, I let them sit for a few minutes. What it does is it allows those proteins that are still in there and that moisture to soak up that batter or soak up that breading. And now when I put it in there, it'll adhere to it, and it will not make such a mess in my fryer. And also I can hold it for a little bit under refrigeration. So Dan, we'll deep fry these. And I will be honest with you, for some reason this spicy batter, when you get it in your sinuses, it is not fun. And people say, well, how spicy is it?
You're not supposed to snort it.
Is it like
I try not
Be
to.
entertaining.
like wasabi?
It's like that, and every time I play with this. Now the thing is, it says it's our spicy breading. It's not overly spicy. It's got a good feel to it. It's
So the
not-
marinating stuff, what's that?
Which one you
Yeah.
marinate that in?
This is the spicy, so the thighs are going to be the spicy.
Actually, the problem.
So basically,
Oh, okay.
I take that powder, I mix it with water. I put the chicken in there, and I walk away. Put it
Is
in
there,
the
there a ratio? How
yeah,
per-
about a cup of mix to about
Okay.
3 cups of water, 4 cups of water, somewhere there. You don't want it to be a paste. You just want enough. Pardon me. It's spicy breading. So we have shown this over and over and over. Are you getting some of that too? I'll be honest with you. We have never lost a flavor cutting with this breading. In fact, the last time I showed it, or no, this was the first time I showed it, down in Arkansas, we were going up against Tankersley, of all places, and they had a chicken program. And I did our chicken, and I put it right next to a plate of their done chicken. And I said, well, yours kind of looks like a
Yeah.
16-year-old at KFC was having a bad day and just kind of threw stuff around. Ours kind of looks like Grandma was in the kitchen all day in a cast iron skillet, came out, said how much she loved you, kissed you on the cheek, and gave you a good plate of fried chicken. That's exactly how I sold it. And it was true. Ours looked golden brown, delicious, crunchy. Theirs looked kind of gray, no crisp to it. It was not a pretty thing. So, Dan, if you want to split those between the two deep fryers, and then we'll finish that in the oven.
How many pieces should I put in the basket?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 4 in each, 5 in each. We'll be fine. And we're gonna get this spicy mix out of here because it does get in your. And then we're gonna do the traditional. Now we have a fish breading as well. Which I've got a couple pieces of fish over here if someone would like to see the fish breading. So
what's the Buddy Rooster?
what?
The Buddy Roost? I've seen that.
That's what chicken bread is.
Right.
It's pretty heavy, solid. You eat it. It works better.
I've sold it, I've just never seen it yet.
Works better for pork than it does chicken.
Okay.
There are so many different chicken products out there. Zatarain's has breading, Uncle Jim's.
So similar, just a different brand.
Yeah. What we have found is, and I hate to mention price, but from a price standpoint, I have found we have been very competitive. In fact, we've been way cheaper. Tankersley was selling a bag of their breading at this place for about $80 when we went in. We were at 30.
Wow.
If that gives you an idea. And that wouldn't do anything special. The thing about our program is, well, gee, that sounds great. What you have to do is there's an agreement people sign, and basically that agreement is just saying, yes, we are going to buy your products. So, and when I say products, we have branded everything. So we have ranch dressing cups, branded Perfectly Southern. We have chicken packs, branded Perfectly Southern. We have boxes, we have cups, we have,
Sign it.
you name it. Now there are a few things that are still under the PFG label that are branded. There are a few things that still have the Bill of Personi tag on it. But someone they can just buy the breading if they want. They want to do their own little chicken thing, or they want to use this for their pork chops, which is delicious. They can do that. But I want to put Perfectly Southern branding signs up. I want to put some on my gas pumps. I want to have perfectly branded cups. I want to do that. Well, then you're going to have to basically buy all that from us. Well, I really like this ranch dressing. Well, you can have a little bit, but we still want about 90% of our stuff branded. Okay. So now the procedure for this is we show them the product. They love the product. You want to just buy the product? You want to go branded? We'd love to go branded. Okay. I'm going to get a hold of corporate. They're going to send you some paperwork. You're going to sign it. There's no money. There's no long-term contract. None of that. And then they will send you a confirmation, and we'll be ready to go. Then we'll contact our marketing people, and there are websites you can go to. You can buy all your signage, your banners. They'll help with computerized menus. They will basically help walk you through stuff. Then you say, well, doesn't that cost money? Yes and no. This division or our division has discussed recently helping people out with those costs. So if you get the right account, I'm not saying every account, you get the right account that is going to buy a good amount of product, there's a good chance we will pay for those marketing materials for them. Not a promise, but that's just something because our division wants to sell this product. Okay?
It's amazing how that's pulled off lunchtime anymore. People are converting to that instead of going into the restaurant.
Man, some of these convenience stores sell more food. It blows me away. And that's 3 years ago, we weren't in the convenience store business. We'd say,
About $3 per month.
we talked about it, but people, our area managers and people, we just drove by them. Nobody thought about it. It's like, and here's the thing. If most of these places, if they are buying from one of the specialty companies that does convenience stores, they are getting hosed on pricing. I guarantee you. Because everyone I've been to, it's like, wow, that's what you're paying? Then you've got a chicken program that you're paying X amount of royalties for. Then you got Hunt Brothers Pizza that you're paying a fortune for. It's like, how are you making any money? And once again, that is kind of our job, right? Not, it's to sell groceries. But if we don't make people successful and help them make money, then how are we going to sell groceries? So, I know everybody wants to jump in here and bread chicken for me. Oh, you guys. So, we are going to have some lunch today. We're going to pull out a salad. I've got some Alpha baking buns over there that we'll do with this. I got dill pickles, because you got to have dill pickles with a fried chicken sandwich. What makes Chick-fil-A so popular with their chicken? What? They brine it in pickle juice. That's their secret. Now they're going to have to kill me. Yeah?
Can you throw that in that?
What? Pickle juice?
Yep.
Well, you could, but I don't know. I don't really want to adulterate a product that I think is really good. What I would do, and I forget, for one of you I did this, we were doing chicken and I made like a dill pickle mayonnaise or a dill pickle sauce that we could put on top of it. I forget which area manager it was for, but I said, let's try to do what Chick-fil-A does, but we'll do it our own way. And so, also we're going to do some French fry tasting today and see what you like. And we'll also go up against some pre-breaded to see, now you'll see, and you still may like the pre-breaded better and I'll make fun of you. But, at that point, all right. Buttermilk to marinate. That is a great question. A lot of people do buttermilk. Why do we use buttermilk? For
Helps hold the batter on.
buttermilk has a higher acid amount. So that acid helps break down those connective tissues and makes the product tender. It also gives it a nice flavor. When I do fish, if I don't have buttermilk, I just take a cup of milk and a tablespoon of vinegar, take my own buttermilk, and do it in there. I do like a buttermilk. I think it helps soften. But, once again, if I'm doing fried chicken and I have to buy buttermilk for one thing, versus this, because now I'm going to do this with my chicken fried steak, the other day, I took one of our Mittendorf marinated sirloins, trimmed it, pounded it, dredged it. We did chicken fried steak with this. Okay, pork chops. It's a great breading. So, with that said, we're going to get the rest of this done and give you all a taste of it. Okay?
I'm anxious to try.
I like that you don't have to mess with